So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below.
What's up YouTube, this is Joe from War Games and I'm bringing to you guys an Appliance deck update profile. This was influenced by a post made on the YG organization where like every month I believe Konami in the OCG or just Yugioh in the OCG posts themed decks based on that time of the month. So this month it was themed on Elephant Day. Like that was the theme, elephants. So they had a lot of decks built with a card that is elephant themed in mind. Appliance was one of them, considering they have Appliance Vacuum Elephant, and I thought the build was very interesting. It was a very unique way of playing appliances, and it had text in there that I believe Dale did mention to me for one of them. I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought, oh yeah, you could play it, but I didn't play it out. I didn't try it out personally until I saw the organization post and I tried it out, and it actually works really well. I really enjoy it because it brings back an old gimmick play that I used to do back in the day with Goki, which if you're a fan of this channel, you could probably recognize it once I get to it, and a bunch of other texts that I personally enjoy playing. I think they're really cool, underrated, and at least for fun decks that you just want to take to your locals and have a good time with, those kind of texts do really work. So do apologise for the police in the back, but before I get to this, I'm going to just move because everything seems to be a bit off. There we go. So before I get to this, if you enjoy it, give us a like and subscribe down below and ding that notification bell, because obviously if you enjoy a channel and its content, you don't want to miss it, and that notification bell helps prevent that, and all of that is really appreciated, and we thank you guys so much for doing so. So with all that's said and done, let's get into this Appliance deck update. Starting off with the appliances, pretty simple on the appliances. You want to max out on all of them, so 3 appliance socket rolls, 3 appliance copy buckles, and 3 appliance breaker buckle. I do class the one format skipper as a pseudo appliance because that's how you use it. You summon this, you reveal an appliance in your extra deck, and then you can use it. It becomes that name, so you can then use it for your link summon plays. I did reduce on the copies. I did have initially 3 of this and then 3 format skippers and 3 powder XCs, and then I took the 2 skippers and 3 XCs out because you don't need them in this build. So I do play the 1 DD Crow still, just because with all the level 1s that we have and we can store on the board, you can make your recital Starling and then search DD Crow for a form of disruption on your opponent's turn. With the new card though in the deck, I'm playing the 1 copy of Codebreaker 0 Day. If you guys are familiar with the Codebreaker play, you know that it just generates so much advantage. If your deck can facilitate it, mostly things like Gokis and appliances can actually do it. You can get some good advantage from just having the 1-0 day in your extra deck and then the 2 in your extra 1-0 day in the main deck and 2 in your extra deck. It's really good play. And at the end of the profile, I will show you a 2-card combo that you can do that forms a board that I personally really enjoy. But it just shows you how the cards that now in the deck can interact with the appliances themselves. I do have the 1 Pankratox because appliances are primarily a go second deck, though you can make a wall going first. And to run up the monsters, I'm playing a tech that I can't believe I didn't think about this before, and I think it's a bit underrated, is 3 copies of World Legacy World Lance. So the issue with appliances is that they can break boards. They have everything really, that they have a lot of stuff that can help them break boards. They can just break through opponents' monsters with relative ease. They can't do damage. That's the main issue. They can break through the monsters, they can't apply the damage. World Lance can help facilitate and mitigate that lack of damage dealing by just boosting up your monsters by 3,000 attack. So if you don't know what this card does, is World Lance is that monsters your opponent controls cannot attack World Legacy monsters you control except this one. You can use each of the following effects of World Lance once per turn. During damage calculation, if a link monster battles a monster quick effect, you can discard this card. The opponent's battling monster loses 3,000 attack. If a monster or monsters special summon from the extra deck, special summon 2 legacy tokens, blah blah blah. That second effect only really applies when he's on the field. But the fact that I can just now swing in with my lower attack point appliances and then just reduce my opponent's monsters by 3k, that's pretty good. Like, just to help deal some extra damage in there with your lower level monsters and your lower attack point monsters. Your Dry Drake can get up to over 3,000 relatively easy. So being able to just reduce an opponent's monsters by to essentially 0, because you're rarely going to be having a monster on your opponent's field with over 3k attack. So just being able to World Lance, your monsters now become 0, and in that way Dry Drake can deal 3k damage. Is very strong for the deck itself and is actually really, really handy. So World Lance, try it out, is really cool. I'm really liking it. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to spells. Your 3 electrical wells and 1 terraforming. Pretty standard on that. If you have field spell says search said monster in deck, you play 3 of it and maximum numbers of it. I've dropped Appliance to test down to 2. In testing, it was just bricking too much. You're rarely going to be using it as much anyways to revive your monsters. That's mostly for like the late games. You try to get to as fewer late games as possible, though this deck can now do the late games, but it's much not through the appliances, it's mostly through your other techs in the extra deck. So I dropped down Appliance to test to 2. You can arguably drop it down to 1 if you really wanted to, but I like the 2 of them. I've also dropped reuse down to 2, but I still kept the Monster Reborn. When I was rebuilding the deck initially, I had 3 reuse and no Monster Reborn. I thought, I'll just swap a reuse for Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn does the exact same thing as reuse, but is now wider range. I can revive lots more stuff. I still play the 1 Legacy Succession as well. Your deck is primarily link based, so the 1 Legacy Succession helps as well. For searching, we have 1-for-1 machine duplication. If your deck is based on machines that have 500 less attack, you play machine duplication. No arguments. And if your deck is level 1 based, you play Where Art Thou. You can be argued. It all depends on personal preference with Where Art Thou. I really like it in this deck just because you want to get to your Socket Roll and Copy Buckle as quickly as possible. If you have one of them, Where Art Thou is essentially the other copy. That's it for spells. Moving on to traps. Yes, we have 7 traps in this deck. I play 3 copies of Parallel Port Armor. I love this card. If you guys are a fan of my content, my personal content with like my Goki builds, and a fan of this channel, and you see my old Goki variants, you know I love Parallel Port Armor in decks like this. The protection is really handy. And then the effect of the graveyard effect to be able to banish and allow your monster to attack twice. For a deck like this, for things like Laundry Dragon, allowing Laundry Dragon to get multiple hits in is devastating for appliances. Laundry Dragon is your best form of monster removal and is one of your best damage dealers through its effect damage. And Parallel Port Armor helps Laundry Dragon do that, while also protecting your other cards as well, like Appliance Celtipus, who you need on the board to give your appliances extra attack points, but are other boss monsters in the extra deck as well. Now, seeing as appliances are all about co-links and non-co-linked, I get to finally use this card in a deck. So this World Legacy Sorrow. It's a counter trap that when your opponent activates a spell trap or monster effect while you control a co-linked monster or monsters, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. You can activate 1 World Legacy Sorrow per turn. Arguably, you could drop this down to like 1 or 2, because you can only use 1 a turn. But I get to finally use this in a deck. Like, Appliance is all about co-links and non-co-links. So you're gonna have the activation requirement of a co-linked monster pretty much 90% of the time. And that's being generous. Like, arguably you should have it 100% of the time. So World Legacy Sorrow is a really good card. It's really nice and easy to activate, so I'm playing it in the deck. You don't have to play it. You can just play things like Solemn Judgment if you really want to. I just thought, since Sorrow's gimmick matches appliances, I just wanted to play it. I'm also playing 1 World Legacy Struggle to round up the main deck. World Legacy Struggle. Target spells and trap cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field, destroy them. You're bound to have 3 co-linked monsters, because you'll have Celtipus and 2 link ones. all co-linked. So you'll be able to get 3 back row pops with this card. It's a nice little one-off just to help against those back row decks, or those decks that do rely on things like field spells and equip cards. Being able to just like use this and just get those pops in is very handy. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, I've reduced the number of appliance links in the extra deck to fit in additional things, but you got the mandatory numbers. So 2 Celtipus, mandatory, 2 Laundry Dragon, mandatory, 2 Vacuum Elephant, mandatory, 1 Dry Drake, and 1 Kappa Scale. I believe this is like your mandatory lineup numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, so 8 appliance numbers. Ratios can fluctuate on your level 1, on your link 1s. 2, you need at least 2 Celtipus, 1 for your first, 1 for your initial play and 1 for your backup play. And all of these depends on who you use the most. I think Laundry Dragon is one I'm going to be using the most because he gets rid of the most threats. Vacuum Elephant is just easy removal. Kappa Scale is recovery. And Dry Drake is damage dealing in forms of actual battle damage. So that's it for your appliances. Moving on to everything else. Your additional boss monsters is the Topologics. Bomber and Zero Boss. Bear in mind Zero Boss did get an errata. Where it now matches his OCG, where he comes back on just the next standby phase. So if you now banish it on your turn, he now comes back on your opponent's turn instead of waiting till your next standby phase. It's very, very good. It's a great buff to Zero Boss's playstyle, which is very, very handy. And Topologic Bomber is just overall a really strong boss monster that just requires 2+ materials, same as Zero Boss. If you have the access code talker, you can swap any of these 2 out for him as well. He's also very strong. I just got access talker in another deck and I wanted to keep this relatively budget but still keep the initial idea of what I'm going for, which is easy to make link boss monsters that can do additional things for the deck and not rely on your appliances for additional damage and board disruptions, and these 2 Topologics facilitate that idea perfectly. Your code breakers is obviously the 1 Virus Berserker and 1 Virus Swordsman. Easy to make as part of your code breaker combo. Absolutely amazing. You'll see that at the end. I played the 2 Nightmares in forms of Cerberus and Phoenix, not only for removal but also for protection. You'll see in the combo at the end. And to run up the extra deck is 1 Recital Nightingale. Starling, to help search your DD Crow. So that's it for the deck. I'm going to quickly show you guys the 2-card combo, which is just any of the either Socket Roll or Copy Buckle and your Field Spell. If you open up these, any combination of this and any combination 2 of these, like literally any combination of 2, though you do actually need the Field Spell. So you open the Field Spell and any one of these 2, you can perform the combo. It's your standard appliance combo. Like if you play appliances, you will know this combo pretty much by heart. It's what you do all the time. So you have your field spell, you play your field spell, you search the either one that you don't have, and then you normal summon your socket roll, and then you use copy buckle to essentially copy socket roll and become a socket roll on summon. This triggers socket roll to summon a second socket roll from deck. And you start going to your link summons. So you use the socket roll and copy buckle to make your appliance a Celtipus. This triggers your field spell to add back a appliance since an appliance link was link summoned. So you back your socket roll. Now you can use socket roll to summon itself out since you have an appliance on field. And then you go into your next link summon. But you're not going to go into your link once. You're going to use both your socket rolls to go into Codebreaker Virus Swordsman. This triggers Virus Swordsman since it's summoned and co-linked. It summons a Codebreaker 0 day from your hand, deck, or grave. Bear that in mind, which means Codebreaker 0 day is essentially, arguably, not a brick. Because you can just use it from hand. So you summon your Virus Berserker to a zone that the link monster points to. That Virus Swordsman's co-linked. Celtipus points this way, so it's now summons there. You now link these 2 off into your Codebreaker Virus Berserker. Virus Berserker shares a similar effect to Swordsman, but you can now revive Codebreakers from your grave to the zones that link monsters point to when it's summoned and it's co-linked. So since he's co-linked, we can now revive Codebreaker 0 day there and Codebreaker Virus Swordsman there. we can now link summon again. So we're going to link the Celtipus and the Virus Swordsman into what I like to go to, Topologic Bomber Dragon. We now link the Zoro Day and the Virus Berserker into Nightmare Phoenix or Cerberus, whichever you want to go to. This will trigger Bomber Dragon to destroy, so you best to go with Cerberus first, because Cerberus cannot be destroyed, or co-linked monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. So the Bomber will trigger, doesn't kill Cerberus, and now you can pass your turn with that, still having 3 cards in your hand, because this was only a 2-card combo, and you have a Bomber Dragon that just cannot be destroyed by card effects. Pretty good. Like, I really like it. It's a really cool combo. It can even get better if you open with like a machine duplication. Just because it just opens up a lot more monsters for you to play with, which I will quickly go through so that you can see on hand what an additional card can do to the combo. So if we opened up with one of these 2 and machine dupe, so we can go field spell, add socket roll, normal socket roll, special copy, socket roll, summons an additional socket roll. We can then go machine duplication and summon a 3rd socket roll from deck. Link these 2 off into, not Bomber, I'm going way ahead. Celtipus, field spell gets back, special summon, link these 2 into Virus. Virus summons out our Zero Day, link these 2 into Berserker. Berserker revives. We can then go these 2, I believe. No, we have to go with these 2 to Bomber, then these 2. Oh, you still like, because yeah, you got this little guy just sitting around. But yes, so it can open up some things, like it gives you an additional summon, just because Copy Buckle does become an additional socket roll when summoned, so you can't copy Buckle into more Copy Buckles. But yeah, it just shows what the deck can do when you just add additional decks in the deck, which I just hope that that idea is demonstrated, basically. So guys, hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this and everything else. And until next time guys, as always, happy dueling.